Swananoa Valley. I'm Marty Saltzman, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. We are a welcoming, supportive congregation encouraging people to join us in the quest for spirituality, social justice, and community. As Unitarian Universalists, we encourage you to bring your true selves through the doors. We like to say that we don't have to think alike to love alike here. So if you're new to UU, please take note of our mission statement on the front of the order of service and our 8 principles, which are printed on the back. It is our tradition to welcome first, second-time visitors or those of you who haven't been here for a while. So if you're comfortable, please stand and introduce yourself and tell us where you're from. Is there anyone over here? Oh.
Hi, I'm Heidi Swan. I live in Asheville, and I'm a dear friend of Carol Black's. I'm glad to be here.
Evelyn here, and I'm from Texas by way of Tennessee. Been for about 2 weeks,
I'm Kelly. I'm with Mama Ed here. We just moved here from Texas, and we're happy to come.
I'm Chris. I'm a member here, but I brought my daughter, Kim, from Salt Lake City. She's visiting.
Welcome, Kim.
I'm Peter from Black Mountain. I've been here a couple times, and I figured I might as well introduce myself.
Anybody else over here? Okay, how about this side? Anyone? Okay. Well, welcome you all. If you'd like to fill out one of these white cards that you'll find in the pew or out front in the foyer, you will receive our newsletter, or someone will call you, whatever you want. So we just like to get in touch with you. So fill it out, put it in the offering basket, or leave it on the table out front. Let's see. Anything else here? I'd like to read our land acknowledgement statement. UUCSD acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the ancestral home of the Cherokee and other indigenous people. The Cherokee, through stewardship, understanding, and conservation, survived and thrived in this land, and we acknowledge their enduring connection to their homeland. The service began.
Don't forget to silence your cell phones. Yeah. Once more with feeling. So, good morning. It's going to be a wonderful day. It's going to be nice and hot. And it's all good. So, opening words. As we enter this community of the Spirit, may we remember the difficult lesson that each day offers more than we can do. Therefore, may we learn to separate that which matters most from that which matters least. May we do what needs to be done, postpone what does not need to be done, and be at peace with what we can be and do. Just a little reminder this morning, and thank you, Diane. Would you please rise as you are willing and able, and join in singing our opening hymn, number 39 in the Great Hymn.
Sons and planets chorus, praise to
6'8". I don't remember picking that, but wow. It's nice to age. Yeah, I don't remember. I know I did it. Anyway, 5, 6, 8. Let's hope it goes with the theme today. Connections are made slowly, apparently. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground.
You cannot tell always by looking what is happening.
More than half a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet.
Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet.
Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree.
Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden.
Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar.
Weave real connections, create real nodes, build real houses.
Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving.
Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more again. A thicket and a bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and layers.
Live as if you like yourself, and it may happen.
Keep reaching out, keep bringing in.
And this is how we're going to live for a long time, but not always.
For every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes.
I don't even remember, but we'll make it fit. We'll make it fit by the time we get to the sermon. I will have woven. Joys and concerns. We're moving right along. Diane will light your fire as she does each and every Sunday. And the mic is on and the floor is yours.
I'm Andy, and I have a wonderful joy. I have been working with an Afghan family in Arden for the last year, and last August, they, with their 4 sons, had a new baby girl, Fariha. And Friday was her first birthday. And in Afghani culture, you don't celebrate birthdays. This is a non-event. So for the first time, for her first birthday, the entire family and their cousins and their friends and the whole clan of Afghan refugees who have moved here were at Lake Julian Park celebrating this wonderful girl's first birthday, opening gifts and having a wonderful celebratory time. It was one of the nicest events I've been to in years. So that's my joy.
Speaking of that, my name is Joy, I think. I don't remember if I told you this, that my son and daughter-in-law have identical girls. And I can tell my son is like, it's challenging. And I found this. I have a big envelope of silly things. So here's one. Mozart died a pauper. Homer begged for bread. Genius pays off handsomely after you are dead.
Good morning, Larry. I a joy. Last week I told you that my friend Linda Briggs had fallen and broken her hip and her shoulder, and had gone to the hospital and then gone to rehab. And Friday she went home. So she's still recovering, obviously, but she's at home. So we're happy for her.
I'm Jim, and I have a concern. Many of you have heard the long story of my disabled son in Minneapolis. In addition to his mental health issues, recently he's run into a long series of physical ailments, and he just had an MRI and thinks it's stenosis of the spine. So please give Jeff, my son, some of your prayers and consideration. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Leif. Just wanted to share the abundance in the last few weeks I've had of just light and joy and love. And just meeting the people here has kind of concreted that for me. So feeling like a good place to call home, and just appreciative of everybody here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Evan. I have a joy. I think last week, or maybe the week before, I mentioned that my brother had a surgery. There was a test done, and everything came back benign, which is fantastic. And he'll have to have some kind of thyroid medication for a short amount of time, but beyond that, I think everything's good.
Good morning, I'm Alice. I wanted to share, I'll share my concern first. I have a cousin who has been battling addiction for many years and is currently in ICU. And just sending lots of love and grace to my aunt and uncle, his mom and dad, and his siblings as they go through this journey one more round with him. So, it's been a heavy week. The joy of this week is that my stepdaughter has started as a freshman at Elon University and just moved in on Friday.
My name is Peter. About a month ago, my wife died of pancreatic cancer. The only good news about it is it was quick. I had wonderful hospice care here in Black Mountain. And I have had wonderful support from the people here in Black Mountain before and during and after her death. She died peacefully, which is what she wanted, and quickly, and is on her way to a better place, as she said. Thank you. Okay. Diane, it's not really a concern, but for Annie Vestal, she had hip surgery, and this pain is lingering. And the doctors seem to be at a loss as to why. So I spoke with her this morning, and Annie, she's full of sunshine, and she was laughing, we were joking, but she's going to see a specialist this week, and she said just to send her your thoughts and prayers. And for those of you who, for whatever reason, there's a seat up here, ma'am, if you'd like to sit up front. Yes. You're writing your name down and everything. Yes. So I thank you, Diane. We have a treat this morning. Our meditation will, I'm sorry? What happened? There's another hand? You're right. You're treat. Well, please rise as you are willing and able and join in yet another hymn, 347. I don't remember the meditation. Yeah, gather the spirit, please. With body, mind, and spirit. She was on the membership committee, so she has paid some dues. And it's just good to see you healthy. It's like you never left. And thank you for being here. So, we have a special treat. Carol Black will guide us in our meditation this morning. And we thank you.
So I have, over the years, had many spiritual teachers in my long life, and one that I still study and practice with is Sharon Salzberg. She's an international teacher of metta, or loving kindness meditation, which is a method, if you will, of sending out love and kindness to all beings, including yourself, and starting with yourself. Sharon suggests that we use simple phrases and repetitive, but because I have a very wandering mind, I have written a script, kind of, that I use daily. And I would like, it keeps me focused and deepens my intentions. So I would like to share that with you today. and then have a very brief moment of silence afterwards. So if you would, just sit comfortably, close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, let your feet sit flat on the floor, your hands in your lap, palms up, let your shoulders drop, let your head be comfortably balanced on your neck, let your breath be deep and natural, and always begin in a place of profound gratitude. May all beings know eternal and real kindness, happiness. May all beings know divine love. May we all know eternal bliss. And may we all know perfect trust. May we all know total well-being in body, in mind, and in spirit. And may we all self-realize as beings of light and abide in perfect equanimity. And now, surrounded and filled with the energy of the beautiful souls in this room, allow yourself in perfect love and perfect trust to go deep within yourself. And taking a deep breath in and opening your eyes when you're ready. Look around you and smile. Namaste.
I'm only one, but still I am one, and I can't do everything. But I still can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the good that I can do. And in that spirit, we will now collect this morning's offering. And to be more crude, we need it. Okay. There are times, there have been times in my life where I have needed to seek the listening ear, and not just from a wise friend, even though I do have many of those, and that has been a blessing. But I needed to talk to a professional in order to get some insights into my life and the choices I was making. I am, and I've been open about this, I'm an enthusiastic proponent of getting the wise counsel, of therapy. It changed my life for the better, to gain that kind of insight and wisdom. And there are also times when people may come to me for pastoral care, and if I'm in over my head, I will refer someone, or at least recommend someone to another for teachings of wisdom. And so I wanted this morning to share some of those things with you. I got this inspiration talking to Carol, and she said, you know, she had studied with many teachers, and I said, in my mind, I said, boy, that's a sermon right there. And because I get it anywhere I can. I just want to say, though, please don't come to me and ask me for suggestions for sermons, because they're hard enough to come up with on my own, and then to get yours and maybe not do it the way you want or whatever. But I will get it from the New York Times or the Bible or whatever, something I think that you and I may benefit from. So first of all, let me say this. If you dream of finding the great and perfect master teacher, I can only say, get real. Great teachers, great directors, great spiritual directors, great therapists, ministers, if you will, they may appear once every century or so. Masters require great sacrifice for those who choose to follow them. And if you are not prepared to pay the price of the ticket, it is best to start exactly where you are with the help that you have that is within reach. More often than not, one can find a guide, someone who knows the way, but is still in the process of learning and becoming. A useful guide is one who will assist you, or me, to connect to what I call that authentic self, the self that is connected to the whole or the collective, call it what you will. They will help you see the mask that you wear. And there's nothing wrong, we all have our masks, but some of us don't realize that they are masks, and we start to identify with what we show the world. There ideally should be no shame and no blame, and probably most importantly, no fear on this journey. Every part along the way, hopefully, will be seen without judgment. The wise teacher or individual knows that we can learn, and we do learn, from everyone, and I mean that from everyone we meet. So the question then becomes, what is it that is being learned? What can I glean from some timid or repressed soul? Some arrogant or boisterous person, or someone even who may be mentally challenged or disturbed. Surely they have nothing to teach an educated person like me. But there is no better teacher than the mirror, and every person can be that mirror, reflecting back to me and you. But I'll stick with me. You own yours. Reflecting back to me some aspect of myself, particularly when it is something that, or someone that I dislike. I contain multitudes, is the way Walt Whitman puts it, and so people are complicated. and contradictory. There's nothing I can see in another that I do not also contain in myself to some degree. The cheat, the murderer, now that's one you want to look at. The martyr, the hero and shero, and there are much more. Looking closely, I discovered that fundamentally we are all alike, you and I, all subject to the same passions and hopes, and this touches a feeling of compassion in me that I may not have otherwise. And yes, people act, you don't have to play a murderer. You don't have to murder somebody, not unless you're really into method acting, in order to play a murderer. But know that each of us, there's a murderer inside of us, that we have been so angry at some point or another that we could have taken a life. Or maybe we have in this time. But I want you to see where I'm getting, because my deepest guilty secret is gradually revealed to me, and hopefully in you, that I believe, at least in some respect, that I'm better than you. That I am better than everyone else. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but I see you grinning. And so we're all in this not to judge. We're all in it up to our necks. And this is the human condition. It's not to be, I saw it. No, we all believe that on some level, that we are better than the next person. There's some part of me better than the next person. And only a penetrating view of my inner world will dispel this guided illusion. Books are helpful. Reading prepares the mind, and books are available where a living guide is not to be found. But eventually, we all need the human connection. I know for me, when I was in therapy, I liked the one-on-one until my therapist said, you've progressed, I want you to join a group. And because the mask was still there, and I didn't want people to see that maybe I still believed I was flawed and defective, but there's nothing more healing. This is why 12 steps is one reason 12 steps is so wonderful, because I look into the face of another person and I can see myself and I can see healing, and vice versa. This is why when it's so important that when a child looks into his or her mother's eyes or parents' eyes, there's data to support this, that I must see that love mirrored back to me, or else I'm going to have a problem when I get older. There's something healing about looking into the face of another person, because they're just as messed up as I am. But we can be messed up together. When I was at the 12 steps of codependency, I told people stuff that I did, and instead of running away, they said, here's my car, give me a call. I said, what? These people are crazy. But I needed that. That's the beauty. There's no judgment there. But a book cannot look back at me and hear my tone of voice. It cannot release the tension in my shoulders. It does not know when I'm prepared to take the next step. And so if we seek, we shall find. And of course these days, everyone is already into something, right? Pilates, the Alexander technique, Hinduism, Buddhism, the Kabbalah, Sufism, Christianity, yoga, Judaism, Wicca, vegetarianism, world peace. Fortunately, we won't be burned at the stake for trying something new. But yet at the same time that I am seeking, what is important is that I know that I'm also being sought. The teaching needs to find me. Knowledge must be passed on. And of course, knowledge in and of itself, but knowledge applied to life can be wisdom and conscious forces help those who seek. But with so many paths before me, how am I to choose? What am I to choose? So it may be easier to eliminate a few obstacles. These are just my suggestions. If they work, fine. If not. Does a teacher repel me? Now, I'm not talking about if you just don't want to look at yourself or that kind of thing, but then then you need, that's why you need a therapist. But does a proposed teacher repel me? If they do, you need to move on. You have to move on. That still small voice, call it what you will, some people call it intuition or a hunch or conscience, it's more reliable than you know. And it needs to be not only heard, but it needs to be respected. Never follow what your inner voice opposes. New knowledge comes only through consent. And when I hear what is true for me, you will know. It will resonate with you. And agreement resonates inside of you. It's almost like even what I'm saying now. You already know this. My job is to remind you and myself. Plato said this, all learning is remembering. And Plato was onto something. As was Socrates before him. Can you trust the one who is leading? Trust me for a few weeks, one guide may say. Try me for 6 months and then see if anything has shifted or changed, another may say. Fine. A few weeks, 6 months, trust is conditional. A little has to be given at the beginning, and the rest has to be earned. One wants to be seen and not judged. Look for impartiality in the guide, in the spiritual director, the minister, the therapist. This is what you're looking for. Does the teacher tell you that you are special? That you are uniquely gifted? You are not. We all have the God particle inside of us. An appeal to your ego should ring a warning bell that this is not necessarily someone to trust. And meanwhile, the inner landscape of my ego is exactly what a real teacher or guide helps me to see. I wasn't being self-deprecating when I mentioned to you that I think I'm better than you. I was saying that because I do on some level. And anybody, I think I'm better than Trump. That's where we're in the but I'm not, you see, and that's the thing. I'm not. And so a therapist can help me say, Michael, that's horse hockey. This self-deprecating. You see, narrow and steep, and yet the path opens readily when I hear something that is true. I know, I trust myself. I can follow the truth, even though my laziness and my ego must be expected at times. Why? Because I'm human. Just like you. When the pupil is ready, someone will put a book into my hands or give me a number to call. Be wary of cults, and again, Christianity was a cult in the Roman Empire. Now it's controlling the world to a degree, this certain brand of Christianity. But you have to be wary of cults because they are easy to join and they are difficult to leave. A genuine teaching, on the contrary, may be hard to find and even harder to enter, but it's easier to walk away from. Are you being courted? Cults seek recruits. Speak to those who left, not just the ones who stayed. Ask how they were treated. Are they grateful for what they received? The traditional Asian model of the apprentice who serves the master body and soul, that train has left the station. Instead, a Platonic ideal where the student is respected and encouraged to question everything and accept only to verify what fits their need. That's where we're coming from. So at every step of the way, the student must be free to what? To choose. Fear has no place in the relationship, and the teacher, the director, the spiritual director, the guide must be scrupulous not to use the student for his or her benefit. And there's no sex. No. And you have to have those boundaries. I remember when I was in Gestalt therapy, that happens to be my favorite therapy because it's more body, mind, spirit, because I can stay up here all the live long days. And my therapist used to go to this bar restaurant I used to go to. We were talking, he would go there with his girlfriend at the time. And I said to him, well, I'm going to be there. You should meet me there for a drink. He said, no. He said, if you weren't my client, you could do that. But you are. I cannot be objective. I can't be objective once I do that. And that stuck with me. He was also, I'm going to get into money, but he was also the one who said to me, because I know some people, and it's easy to do. The person comes and they're getting better, and you can just kind of keep them coming. And I remember, I signed up for, I said about 2-3 years, 7 altogether, because I had some deep-seated stuff. But it never occurred to me. One day I came there and he said, well, this is our last session. I thought I had bad breakfast. And he said, did it ever occur to you that you've met your goals? That you are living a powerful life? And the things that we said you wanted to cover, that you've already done them? I never even thought about that. And he had the integrity enough to say, you can come back, which I did later on, but we're done. Live your life. So, what about money, you ask? Like everything else, the spiritual must be paid for. Rent is due, gas and electricity are not free. But some self-styled teachers demand, and they get, huge sums from hopeful students who somehow believe that the more something costs, the more valuable it is. That standard may apply to consumer goods, but authentic teachers and guides, you watch them, they tend to live simply, giving to Caesar only what belongs to Caesar. And so if a luxurious lifestyle is given as proof of efficacy, you may have cause to question the teacher and the teaching and your own values. What about tithing? We don't ask you to tithe here. We don't tithe. But if a spiritual community supports the helpless and the indigent among you and can soften those harsh divisions between those who have and those who don't, tithing is a blessing. But there is no spiritual gain from supporting some charismatic rascal who turns spiritual seekers into his or her own ATM machine. That is a no. Also be very wary of putting your God on a pedestal. You will be disappointed. You will find yourself tearing it down later. It is best to accept from the beginning that your teacher is not a master, but has what you need for that journey, for that particular journey. Because you have different teachers at different times. And you wind up being a different teacher at different times. The subjective quality of the teachers is not really important because we all have our flaws. She is also a work in progress. But her role is to model the process of collecting attention and of generating what? Presence. Presence. She demonstrates that it is possible. She embodies the teaching. Because the key word here is what? It is struggle. because there's always going to be some type of struggle. Embodying the teaching illustrates the way for us, shows us it's possible to be, and inspires us to try, but there's always some struggle along the way. If they're not, you're doing it wrong. If it's not. Because this is part of life. We may have different guides or teachers at various points in our lives. At the same time, a deep sense of loyalty arises among all of us who struggle, because we're like veterans. We've been in these wars. The war to be who? To be what? To be yourself with a capital S. To not hide behind your good words, and you always got to be grinning and smiling like Ben Vereen, and you got to be, sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're irritable. You don't have to keep hiding behind that. Be you, and I'll do me. A teacher, when the student is ready, the teacher makes room for that. A teacher at one stage is not necessarily needed for the next. When the student is ready, the teacher will what? Can also disappear. Look at the moon, not at the finger pointing to it, the Zen Buddhist tells us. A teacher points the way, but it's not the way itself. He or she cannot carry the pupil on his back and can only propose conditions that will support your goal. So it's not a one-way process, the spiritual teaching. The teacher, the therapist, the director, or guide must also be a student. And that keeps you from thinking you're better than someone, I hope. It's an essential chain through which higher energies manifest on the earth. Mutual sincerity will make the relationship fruitful. If the guide is not growing, something is gradually lost. The connection to the higher. Her role is enable you to see, and as she does, it has to be without judgment. And then your conscience, if you believe in that, or your soul, if you believe in that, has room to appear and become the real guide. Once I discover the power of the spiritual work, I may become greedy. You have to watch it. I want more exercises. I want more mantras. I want more formulas. As if greater quantity of teaching would help me evolve faster. You want the glamour. I know when I first got into my spiritual teachings and I was channeling and people were paying me and I was reading my tarot cards and I see auras and all that. And I was better than you. You know it. But I was seeking the glamour. Luckily, I found that out. I had a psychic tell me, you need to dial it back. You need to dial that back. It's not about you. But it's hard. You want the glamour. You want the attention. There's nothing wrong with that when it comes. But these are just tools. Paul talks about it in Corinthians, but all this, the psychic stuff, the healing, the Reiki, whatever, those are tools. But please don't mistake that for spirituality. You'll be disappointed. But enlightenment, whatever that really means, is an organic process. That I know, and it has its own tempo, and it cannot be forced. I read a story once where a monk reported that his greatest fear was that he would hear of a new exercise before he finished the current one, and the one he was working on. And he recognized it's called spiritual greed, because you want the experience, but not the depth, the pain that goes along with that, the struggle. The mind is quick to change, but the feelings resist and defend. And sometimes you need patience. Socrates taught that human beings already have what they need within them. He taught Plato this. And we never really learn anything new. Education is remembering. So remember yourself. Nothing I have said in these last 12 minutes, you don't already know. And then you put something in the plate, and this is good. Because we remind each other. Sooner or later, the teacher moves on. He or she dies. You will hear the voice no more. It's the end of an era. You, the new you, will mourn. When the spiritual parent is gone, you're no longer a child. So what is a student to do? To find another teacher or guide seems the thing to do, but wait. to do that. You don't need more teaching. Now you need to practice. Now you need to live it, right? The Buddha, the teacher, the Dharma is the teaching, and the Sangha, the community. When the teacher gone, the teaching remains, and it's up to the group. It's up to UCSB. It's up to whoever comes before or after me. They pick up and they go to the next. And then after them, and the spiritual community, you transmit the knowledge. You transmit it. It doesn't stop. And after a teacher has created a work, her work is done. Now she may transition or she may move to another place. The group, the community carries the teaching on. The 12 disciples of Jesus, the 12 Knights of the Round Table, the companions of Muhammad, the bhikkhus or monks of Buddhism, they all reflect the principle that it is the group that continues the work of the master, not necessarily a chosen successor. And so together, the way is found forward. We are mirrors for each other, but it's difficult because you will be tested. Our comrades on the path must now supply the force that came from the teacher. But it's difficult to honor each other as we honor the guide. Because why? The ego. Secretly, each one of us would say, I understand it better than you do. And so I need really to be the leader here. Appearing in a new guise. It's our old friend. It's the ego telling us again, I'm better than other people. But now we recognize it. And we can smile at ourselves. We can forgive ourselves. Because this is part of the journey. So it's possible to be responsible for the work. We're no longer children. We become healthy adults. A group created for this purpose is designed to teach. We're lucky if we can find some people to walk with us. Sometimes that's not always true. The friction of egos clashing is sometimes unnecessary. Where this heat can be transformed into light, and you see that you're not alone. So as I continue on the path, I give back what I receive and I go further. And after a while, you don't know who the client is or who the patient is or who the teacher is. That's when you kind of know, because in the end, everyone is both. He or she who needs healing must heal. Physician, heal thyself. Don't tell me what to do. Do it yourself. And then I can follow you. Don't tell me. See, it's easy for me to tell you, but then I have to look at myself. But each person that comes to me, each person who comes to a teacher offers the teacher a chance to heal. This is, of course, in miracles and many other spiritual paths. So each teacher must learn to heal from each client that comes to them, and in this way, the teacher becomes the client as well. The minister becomes part of the congregation. The congregation becomes the minister. The universe does not know separation. That's something we kind of made up. No one is healed alone. The great spiritual teacher Gurdjieff says, teach so that you may learn. I would also add to that, to teach only love, because that is what you are. Amen. I'll share it. And bless it. So, closing out. Number 151, whose lives is your living miracle? I wish I knew how.
Say
give Linda a hand. Thank you, Clara. Clara Black for wonderful meditation. Okay. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, and puts to flight all of our fears, reconciles all who are separated. May that love be with us and in us and around us from here on in. Have a wonderful afternoon.